All right, get this. Imagine two massive, totally unexplainable objects showing up in our solar system at the exact same time. And they're coming from opposite ends of the sky. One kind of looks like a high-tech drone, and the other, more like a fortress. So yeah, let's dive right into this crazy cosmic mystery. I mean, that's the big question, right? Is this just some interstellar accident, or is it something else? Because what's happening right now, it just completely shatters all the statistical odds. It's forcing astronomers to look at possibilities that, honestly, used to be pure science fiction. So, it all kicked off on September 12th, 2025. The SOHO spacecraft Swan instrument picked up this anomaly. And when I say anomaly, I mean something that made the entire astronomy community just stop dead in their tracks. There was this thing just blazing through our solar system, and it was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. Yeah, and calling it impossible doesn't even begin to cover it. This first object, they nicknamed it Swan, and let me tell you, this was not just another comet. It was physically dominating the inner solar system. Just think about that for a second. Go outside tonight and look at the full moon. Now picture something 5 times wider than that streaking across the sky. That is the kind of mind-blowing scale we are talking about here. It was so bright you could see it with a basic backyard telescope, even with just a pair of binoculars. So, this wasn't just some run-of-the-mill excitement in the scientific community. This was genuine, straight-up disbelief. The size, the brightness, none of the numbers made any sense. Swan was just too big, too bright, too present to be ignored. But believe me, the puzzle was only just getting started. And just when you think things can't get any weirder, they do. Because it turns out, Swan wasn't alone. There was another visitor already on its way. And the timing? Well, that's where coincidence starts to look a whole lot like a coordinated event. This second object, they called it 3I/Atlas. It was spotted coming in from the direction of Sagittarius. Now, remember Swan? That came from Aquarius. We're talking about 2 points on opposite sides of the sky. Completely different objects, totally different origins. Okay, but this is where it gets absolutely wild. Even though they're coming from totally different parts of space, both of them are scheduled to hit perihelion, that's their closest point to the sun, within just 3 days of each other. I mean, come on, that's not a coincidence. That's cosmic choreography. And that right there, that's the absolute heart of this mystery. Look, astronomers are used to random stuff showing up, scattered over decades. But to have two massive objects from opposite sides of the universe show up at the sun's doorstep at basically the same time, the odds are, well, they're not just astronomical. They're practically zero. So, if it's not a coincidence, then what are we looking at? The whole conversation has shifted from pure astronomy to something more like cosmic forensics. So let's open up the evidence files on our two suspects. Okay, so on one side you've got Atlas. It moves like a quick, agile, super efficient drone. And on the other side, you have Swan, which is more like this slow, steady, seemingly invulnerable fortress. They're not just different in where they came from, their physical traits are just bizarre. And they almost seem designed to work together. Let's zoom in on Atlas first. Its body is almost pure nickel. Now that's just unheard of. Natural comets are basically dirty snowballs, right? Not solid metal. It's also shooting out way more CO2 than water vapor, which is backward. But the real smoking gun? It's made 3 separate, precise accelerations. Little delta V pulses that look exactly like thruster firings, not like random gas popping off a melting comet. Okay, now let's talk about Swan. If you thought Atlas was weird, Swan is on a whole other level. I mean, it's in a different league entirely. The most conservative, cautious estimates of the energy it's putting out land on this number, 10,000 gigawatts. And to give you an idea of what that means, that is more raw power than the entire electrical grid of planet Earth, all of it combined. On top of that, some are reporting a metallic nickel-cobalt signature coming from its core, like a hull, and it seems to be wrapped in a shimmering plasma envelope that could be some kind of shield. Okay, let's step back. We've got two what look like engineered objects, a drone and a fortress, showing up together. So the big question is, why? What's their mission? This has kicked off a whole wave of speculation, what people are calling mission theories. Right now, there are 3 main ideas floating around. First, the simplest one. Maybe it's just a solar pit stop. They're using the sun to refuel, transfer some data, run a systems check. Second idea is a bit more dramatic. A cosmic intervention. Maybe Atlas, the drone, was sent to intercept or even repair the fortress, Swan. And then there's the third theory, the audit theory. The idea that this isn't their first visit, but just the latest checkup on us, on our noisy little planet. And just to add another mind-bending layer to all this, check this out. Swan is on an orbit that takes over 22,000 years to complete. That means the last time it swung by our solar system was during the last ice age. That's when humans were building places like Göbekli Tepe, when our ancestors were first looking up at the sky and trying to make sense of it all.
Which brings us to the absolute climax of this whole thing. Because right when these two objects are about to get closest to the sun and to each other, our main window to watch them is being shut down.
So for a critical 10-day window, the sun's glare is basically going to blind all of our ground-based telescopes. The sun is just going to be in the way. Which means the most important part of this encounter, the moment they get closest and any real action would happen, we're not going to be able to see it from here.
And here's the kicker. It's not just a natural blackout. There are off-the-record whispers coming out of major space agencies. People are talking about a forced silence, explicit orders to stop taking pictures and to not say anything to the public until after this whole thing is over.
But as the official channels go quiet, something pretty amazing is happening. A huge global network of amateur astronomers and citizen scientists is mobilizing. They're pooling all their data from backyard telescopes, even from repurposed weather satellites, to make sure someone is still watching.
So that's where we are. We have a massive cosmic mystery unfolding right above our heads. The officials have gone silent, but a passionate grassroots network is keeping their eyes on the sky, and it all boils down to one final, really compelling question. When the truth about what's happening out there finally comes out, who's going to be the one to tell us? A government agency or somebody in their backyard?